Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another space and time that we share together. And I'm grateful that you are there, wherever you are physically, and that you are here with me, so that I feel fulfilled in a sense, because being myself, which is exactly what I'm doing right now, is also bringing something to you. And by you experiencing me in this natural expression, you should gain something. Even if it is rejection, even if it's something that we could both call negative, it has a positive intention. Whichever reaction you have to me doing this is already serving you, whether you are aware of it or not, and it's completely out of my control what that response or reaction is. Today I wanted to talk more intentionally about intimacy and sensuality, which are very close to me. Very close in meaning, and also very close in my experience as a human, and they're very present in my life right now. These concepts and experiences, both things. And I would like to start reading something that I wrote late last year on intimacy. And I'm not sure whether I just did it for myself as a reflection, or I did it on purpose for a client so that he would have that as an inspiration or as a framework, and then share with me what intimacy meant to him. Either way, here's the text. I'm just going to read it to you, and then I'm going to further reflect on it. Intimacy. Into me I see. So many of us are looking for love in the wrong places, primarily in sex and romantic relationships with people who don't actually love themselves. Love comes from within, and it is unconditional, fully requires a full acceptance of what is at its moment, or it is not love. This is the first and most important understanding of love. What we are really looking for as humans is a very deep connection, and we think it is with others, but it is first and foremost with ourselves. Far more relevant and transcendental than sex and romantic love is intimacy, which to me is the essence of the relationship with God and also the core teaching of Tantra. To me, it is the beginning of a love story with oneself, being at peace with oneself, aware of one's thoughts and emotions, detached enough from them to be connected to the real self, and not lost in the outside world. Experiencing one's unique energy and being even erotized by it. Being connected to the soul is a sensual experience, and thus intimacy has a clear sensual taste. When we have attained this personal state of intimacy, seeing and living from oneself, with our senses, mind and heart fully open and receptive, while anchored deep within, then we are ready to deeply connect with others and get intimate with them, without using them, without us getting lost in them, without behaving in any normal social way, without playing unconscious vicious games with them, but relating with them at a very loving and sensual level. A form of connection that is beautiful beyond words and that can truly take your breath away. and which is far more delicious than any human action in and of itself, such as marriage, the act of getting married, genital penetration, oral sex, or an existential intellectual conversation. And these things are very delicious when done consciously. Intimacy has everything to do with being fully present, and yet has nothing to do with the human form. It has no target and no destination. Real silence starts to emerge from intimacy. Or is it the other way around? Nothing needs to be said, nothing needs to be proved, nothing needs to be hidden, nothing needs to be done in any specific way or be done at all. You are and the other one is, and that is where you meet. Naked, fresh, open, innocent, pure, and from there you start playing the loving, love-in game, but you don't fall in love here. You flow with love. You dance with one another through the beauty and the power of your own core energies. I believe this is a beautiful text, a beautiful writing. I love it. And so yeah, I think it was early last year that I finally realized that all of my attempts throughout my life of experiencing love, especially romantic love, or have beautiful sexual encounters, it just came down to the need of being really intimate with other human beings, and especially with men. And it took me 40 years on earth to realize that, or to remember that. And finally, when I did, I realized that I was, in the way that I was interacting with men privately, sexual encounters, but much before there was any genital interaction, I was behaving in a way that was not really natural to me. And I was fortunate because I created the paths for those encounters to meet a few men whose energy was inviting my core energy to come out and play. And I started experiencing myself in a very sensual way. And it was just a wonderful discovery. And I started to understand what intimacy and sensuality was. And I was just amazed by it. And then I realized, oh my God, this is what I was looking for. This is what I truly longed for. And this is so delicious. I can't go back to having sexual encounters as I had before. Not that they were wrong or ugly, but they were not as beautiful as the ones that I started having in 2023. 2022 actually was the first one. And then from that moment onwards, I started reflecting more on sensuality and sexuality, of course, in general, and mine in particular, and trying to understand better what the sexual energy is actually, what it is, and what is it about, what to do with it. And from my understanding and experience, the sexual energy has the capacity or has the potentiality to connect and create. So it can create a baby, for example. So it can create another human, but it can also connect you to another human at a very, very, very deep level. And that's exactly what you are creating in that sense. You are creating a space in a way and a connection that goes beyond your humanness. It goes higher than that, higher than your physical human mind. It's normally where the mind is not present that you get to experience real intimacy, and that you get to experience your core energy, which is your sexual energy, and see where it takes you. It involves great levels of vulnerability, massive, and surrender. Because you cannot really expect to connect very deeply with another human being if you come with a psychological program as to what should be done here, how am I performing, am I really looking attractive, what is this person thinking or feeling about me, how long is this going to last. All of these questions and all of these judgments and affirmations which come from the human mind, which also stem from a more of the survival mode, as compartmentalizing, analyzing, labeling reality, so that in the end the mind can determine this is dangerous and this is not, this is a threat and this is not. It's constantly doing that. If we don't transcend that kind of mind, we are not going to experience being really present with ourselves, allowing our core energy to come out and engage with someone else's core energy. It takes you to another experience of life from my perspective, because not only you can get sensual with a lover or a partner, it can get you to be intimate with anything and everything else. Not necessarily in an erotic manner. For me, there are like 3 levels of activation of the sexual energy. This is my perception: sensual, erotic, sexual. And I have realized that I can be sensual with anyone and everything. Then the erotic is another stage and the sexual is another stage. And sometimes it's very difficult even for me to know exactly where the lines are, but up to this moment I differentiate these 3 stages of connection. And when I was saying here, it is far more interesting, exciting, and beautiful the fact that you get into the realms of the unknown, where there is no script, no plan, no persona acting or anything of that sort, no boundaries, no mental protection. You don't need to set anything up except for Knowing, for example, when we're talking about most likely getting into a sexual interaction with someone, the only protection that I would take is that before I engage into any kind of sexual interaction, that I feel totally safe with them. If I don't feel totally safe with them from the very beginning, then there is no point for me to continue that interaction, because then I would have to have my mind present for me constantly to be checking if I'm comfortable or not, if this is appropriate or not, if what is this going to be leading to, or anything of that sort. For me, the moment that I have sorted out the safety aspect and that I feel that my nervous system is completely at ease in the presence of this whichever person, that's for me the moment to get into getting intimate with them in whichever way, because I have no plan as to what form that is going to take. And I don't want to have, and I want to have as much time as I can to get intimate so that we both can see what form it takes. And we're going to see, and you're going to see if you do that, that the energies, when they're merged with one another and given enough time and also physical space, they can take, and they actually take many forms in the passing of the minutes of time. You can see how the energy shifts into very different feelings and desires and forms of expression. Is just wonderful. It's amazing to observe and to experience. And if at some point, so let's say that for me the safety is checked, then once I am being intimate with that person, then at some point something may arise which I don't feel particularly attracted to do or to say or to receive or whatever it is. Then in that very moment I express that. I may only need to do it physically, or I may have to verbally express, I don't want to do this, I don't feel like doing this, or at this very moment I'm feeling like this. But because I know that I already feel safe with the other person, most likely that person is really going to embrace me in whichever thing I do or say, as I am ready to do with the other person, of course. So that's why I say you don't really need to get into an intimate space with someone and have your ego being active and trying to protect you and analyze everything and tell you whichever stories while you're getting intimate with the other person. You don't need that, and you don't want that to happen, because it's going to spoil everything. And practice is actually going to teach you so much, so much. I would just take the precaution to do this with the right people, with people who are very open and loving and very, very respectful. That's the best people with whom we can practice intimacy. First, we need to experience it by ourselves. Stillness, silence, eyes closed, taking action in the outer world from our core energy, not trying to look normal, not trying to behave as other people in our social circles. So in the outer world, we need to bring this core energy out, have the courage to do that. While we, in our privacy, we experience by ourselves, completely by ourselves, this core energy. Because how are we going to bring it out if we don't know how it feels inside? What is it that we're going to bring out? So we need to identify this core energy and get very comfortable within, in our solitude, and then getting active and start expressing it out with anyone and with a few people, or well, as many as you wish, intimately. We share our core energy 100% with a few people in a more sexual level. And for me, this on an inner journey, it has taken me far, far more ahead than I ever thought. Just by identifying and nurturing my sexual energy, both privately and publicly. I love you. Stay wise and wild.